This is Boxing Tickets NI. It's a Sunday evening. For once, I'm doing a bit of Sunday evening work. By the time this goes out, it'll obviously be Monday morning. But delighted to be joined by Jay Byrne of JB Promotions. We're going to recap, obviously, Friday's show. I guess, Jay, you're probably me and a wee bit probably trying to recover, probably after a hectic few days.
Yeah, very, very busy week. Very busy week.
The like I said to you, I think on Thursday, this is the second show you've done this year. You've done this show on your birthday. Your last show was done on your missus's birthday. Is the next show now one of the kids? Is that the date now for that? Have the perfect party with people paying you to come and watch the boxing.
Well, that's it. It was February 9th It was actually funny because it was February 9th was the missus's birthday, and we had the show that Senan won his Celtic title on. And then the other night, October 4th, was my birthday, and Senan won his Irish title. Senan let us know that there on Saturday or Friday night after the show. So yeah, it was. I just, what more can you do for your missus in February? I said to her, I said, I'm putting a party on for you. I'm going to invite 600 or 700 people to it.
And you don't have to fork out for anything. Well, maybe buying the occasional drink.
Well, I had to fork out all right because there was only one person paying for the show on Friday night.
But I guess probably the best place to sort of start, probably, on the main event. I know there's sort of been some comments and stuff since, and comments are like sort of anything nowadays. They're too under the sort of wind that people sometimes don't understand. But like, it's probably hard in a way for you, Jay, as a promoter to see two of your fighters, in the main event. Less than 3 weeks' notice as well. Like, out of the back end of this, Matthew's going to take a lot of credit. At 22 years of age, stepping on less than 3 weeks' notice to fight for an Irish title. He's going to learn the most out of all this. Probably learn more out of this than Senan would have learned in defeat. So, in some ways, probably I don't know, in an ideal scenario, maybe it's the right sort of thing happened that Senan won because Matthew's going to come again.
Yeah, look, I said at the press conference there was never going to be a loser in that fight because there was avenues you could go down for each loser. If Senan lost the fight, you'd say, okay, he stepped up to the weight above to chase his Irish title dream and he fell short, so he'll go back to his weight and he'll go and try to get the Irish title. And Matthew losing, he took an Irish title fight at the weight above his weight at less than 3 weeks' notice and fell short. So, in my opinion, there was never going to be a loser. I know Matthew was upset. Obviously, he lost because fighters are upset when they lose. I don't think Matthew was Matthew at all on Friday night in the ring. We had a good chat on Saturday. I chatted to him on Friday night briefly, and I chatted to him again on Saturday. And I chatted to his father, and we're both on the same agreement. One of two things possibly happened on Friday night. The occasion got to Matthew when he got to the ring, and he froze in the headlights or under the lights. Or in the first round, Senna maybe caught him with a shot that shook him slightly. And he was in fear then of being first because anyone that knows boxing that watched the fight would see that Matthew never threw first in the fight. He didn't go on the back foot and try to become a counterpuncher on the back foot and hit and move and run or like what a lot of, heavily skilled amateurs would do in them situations against a guy that's going to constantly come forward. It was, to be fair to Matthew, he tried to hold the middle of the ring and he was trying to wait till Senan punch and he was trying to counter punch him. He caught Senan a lot when he was counter punching, but he caught him with a single shot and Senan's volume of punches and, it looked at times like it was a man against a boy in there, and that's down to the experience and the know-how of Senan. Like, you can look at their boxing records and say, they're fairly evenly matched in regards to fights it had, bar obviously Senan had the title fight, but then you put Matthew's amateur experience into the fold and say, well, his amateur experience, is a lot more than Matt Senan's, etc., etc. But on that, at the end of the day, Matthew has only come back from a big, big weight loss. He's not at his weight. Matthew will be a 140 fighter. And you know what? If he keeps going the way he's going and training the way he's training, he possibly could even do 135. Because he's, as I'm sure it's public knowledge, you could see, he wasn't ripped to bits. He wasn't, shredded down at the weight and tight at the weight. Matthew didn't have a weight cut. I've said that all along to anyone that asks. He didn't have a weight cut. I looked after Manchester's conditioning for the last kind of month or so, trying to bring his weight down. I'm actually woke up on the morning without doing a sauna, without doing any jogging, anything like that. He woke up on the weight. There was no weight cut whatsoever. So he easily could have done 140. So I think when he tones down, and again, it's a process we're going through with Matthew on the weight loss. He weighed in at 147, 63 pounds down. There's definitely another 7 or 8 pounds. In the end of this match, he will probably lose about 70 pounds. But it's a time now to take a back step, have a look at a program now that he's going to start defining up his body and getting physically stronger and growing into his body now, because obviously he's become a man. And since he got out of boxing a couple of years ago and then he got back into it in the last 18 months, it's just been go, 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 go in boxing camps. You know, get ready for fights, get ready for fights. So now it's time to focus on strength and building up his strength and growing him into his body. And then we'll have a look at the weight. But he will most definitely be a 140, possibly lighter, depending on how the next few months goes. But I said to him, be proud of what he done. Again, please know, we've said it in press conferences, nobody in the country would fight Senan at 140. Nobody. Senan stepped up to fight Deco at 147. Obviously what happened with Deco happened. And a young kid, 22 years of age, pro 11 months, who's going to be fighting at the weight below, took the fight in an hour, within an hour. So I don't care what people say. Comments can be comments and comments can be made. If any of them are big enough and bold enough, tell them to message me their shitty comments or their smart arse comments, because I'll put them straight on it. Because I guarantee you, they're either armchair fans that are sitting there, or they're cowards that haven't got in the ring before, or they're lads that fight and they don't fight. They will never fight in an Irish fight, an all Irish fight. Simple as that. Because the kid stepped up, he'd seen an opportunity, he looked at it and said, you know what, I have a massive opportunity here. Because he knew how the spars were going. And as Senan said in the interview afterwards, wasn't sure it was with yourself or it was with Irish Boxing, Senan said, I think it was one of the first things he said in the interview was, that wasn't like Matthew tonight. That wasn't Matthew tonight. That wasn't the Matthew who I've been sparring. And that's why I say to you at the start of this conversation that I don't know if the occasion got to Matthew, or did Senan catch it with the 8-ounce gloves and did he get a bit of a shock and was he a bit reluctant to engage? There's no shame in that. He still went 10 rounds. I think he showed heart to go to 10 rounds, because I think after 7 kind of rounds, 8 rounds, he could have easily said in the corner to his dad, I don't want this. I want out. And we've seen it from good level fighters before over the years in the UK, Ireland, Europe, America, where lads turn their back or, you know, they just don't want it. You know, we've seen it at lots of levels. I think O'Hara Davies was one, like, you know, turned around and walked away. And look where he's gone in the sport. You know, Matthew didn't turn away. He didn't fail to get up off that stool. He didn't quit. He showed heart, and it wasn't his night, because we're not 100% sure, but with myself and his dad have discussed that, and we think it was one of the two things. Maybe that's a possibility that happened, because, look, the kid is technically gifted. We watch him in sparring all the time. We watch him in training all the time. We see him on the pads all the time, and he is a technically gifted kid, and anyone that's sparred Matthew over the last couple of years will be able to tell you. And as I said, Senan being the most honest kid, the honest lad, probably one of the most honest lads in boxing, clearly said it. That wasn't Matthew I've been sparring. That wasn't Matthew to me. You know? So forget that fight. That fight's gone now. It's over and done with. You know, he dared to be great and he fell short. Shame? No shame. You know? And that's guaranteed. He will come again.
For obviously Senan, you know, I guess the problem is now you become an Irish champion at welterweight, not his weight class. He's going to move back down to 140, and he's going to have the same problem again. It's finding an opponent to obviously fight. Like, is that pretty much domestic scene finished now for Senan, where you look to probably, you know, maybe get him on a way day in a Matchroom or a Queensbury card or something like that, or maybe look to progress on a different level, because he's going to go back to that sort of same mold of nobody's fighting him at 140. So is that him just finished with domestic fights now?
No, he's adamant he wants 140 Irish title, but getting the opponent, like Dave Ryan is the obvious one, but I'm not going to go around circles and just keep mentioning him in every interview because it's pointless. But Dave Ryan is the most obvious opponent there. He's won the Celtic title that Senan defended or vacated for him, you know, on the grounds that he'd fight him and everything. So the offer's put out to him for November 29th. Again, no answer. These conversations are going on now 5 months. So look, if they want to fight, they want to fight. I don't think they do. Lee Reeves, I spoke to Lee Reeves this morning just to touch base and see how he's getting on, see how everything's going with him, the whole lot. He's back now soon. He'll only be back in time for November. I think he's going to try to get out in Canada before the year's out, just to get back. And he wants back in at the start of the year. So potentially Belfast, but most likely we'll do maybe March in Dublin. We'll have Lee back. But if he gets a win before Christmas, there's a fight at 140. It could be sending a Lee at 140. So there's still a couple of options there. There is still a couple of options there for him. And who knows? Who knows in 9 months' time? Who knows? Senan wants to go back to 140 and Matthew's going to 140. So like you just don't know. In 6-9 months' time, the time could be right, and it could be Matthew and Senan again at 140. So like I wouldn't fear that fight again. As I said, I'm not going to go around circles and say it too many times again. But myself, Matthew's father, I'm sure Matthew's other coaches, Jimmy and Vinny, and that, will agree. We've all said it. It wasn't him on the night. Senan said it wasn't him on the night. So who knows? Back at 140 with that experience under his belt, another few learning fights and the whole lot, that could happen again. But I would think in 9 months' time, though, Senan will be gone past that domestic level, because if he can't get an Irish title fight for him, well, what else does he do in Ireland? He does nothing. He's done it. He's completed it. He got his Celtic title. He's got his Irish title. So yeah, we will look at it. Because the kid needs to start earning. He's earned there the other night, and he needs to start earning. He needs to get to his fights, and sometimes a breakthrough fight could happen in the UK or the whole lot. Now I know GBM are planning on coming this year before the year's out. Well, they're hoping to. I don't know how feasible that'll be now. If any was all are hard to get, but I know they do want to come back to Ireland as well. So who knows? They might have someone at 140, and we could make a fight for Senan. I know Robbie Davis Jr. is supposed to be on the December card in Waterford. 140, I think there was rumour that he could be trying to fight Ray Moylette or something like that. I think Senan Kelly at 140, Celtic and Irish champion. A Celtic champion and Irish champion is bigger in the pro game than Ray Moylette, so he'd be open to the Robbie Davis Jr. fight as well.
I think Robbie Davis Jr. is on the 1st of November.
He's on that as well, I believe,
yeah. Obviously, co-main event. Obviously, two other fighters putting the records on the line: Shawn Murray and Daniel Sullivan. Like, I probably wasn't shocked. You probably see that Daniel obviously was doing the work on the inside. Probably, I guess, in reflection, probably Shawn will probably be disappointed with the gum shield issues throughout the fight. Obviously, the gum shield just didn't seem to be fitted in the fight, and it probably spoiled the fight for him in trying to get a flow going. But like, he showed a serious chin and serious heart, and he'll be another one who probably learned a lot from that with the lack of experience he has.
Yeah, again, on Shawn, he's a kid that didn't come through the amateur setup. He was on the semi-pro scene, and he said to me when I had my first meeting with him and Chris Blaney, he wanted a career like mine. He wanted just to fight domestic fights, and he wanted to fight in big fights, and he didn't want to be fighting journeymen all the time. So we got him in with Alan White, then we got him the Shane Meehan fight, then we looked for the Donald Lanigan fight, and I said the winner, if he won't come through that, the winner, we'd look at getting the Celtic title, and we delivered that to him. So we've delivered everything he's asked for. There's not many people out there that are willing to take the fights. Daniel OSullivan was a dream to deal with, not a problem from the get-go, accepted straight away. And look, I do believe if Shawn boxed differently, it could have been a much closer fight. I felt he looked for the right hand to Daniel's head too much. I think he was looking for a swing and a right hand too much. Very similar to the way I boxed Craig O'Brien in 2017. Went swinging, looking for a right hand, a big right hand, and I could be still in the stadium swinging now, and I still wouldn't have hit his head. You know what I mean? And I felt that Daniel was open to certain shots. Now Daniel was relentless, and he was brilliant on the inside, which I knew he would have been watching the fight. But I felt that Shawn had kept his distance a little bit better with a straight backhand and maybe a short uppercut when Daniel was coming in with his head down. He could have caused him a lot more problems. But again, as you just said, it's a learning fight for him. Shawn wouldn't be the biggest ticket seller, so 50-50s domestic fights are better for him. He prefers them as well. He gets up for them. He did mention to me the next day that the way, he had said originally that, he thinks he'd done the way handy enough. He thinks he could do well the way, but he said to me he feels more comfortable at middleweight. So that opens the doors as well for potentially the Peter Carr fight. because I know the two of them have dilly-dallied around that for a while, so it opens the door for that one as well. So there's fights there for Shawn. I don't think Shawn's going to be the kind of fella now that goes back to the drawing board and starts beating up journeymen for 4 or 5 fights and looks to try get another shot. I think it'll be more, let me go again, Jay. Will you give me another domestic? And if I come through that, try to get me a rematch or try get me another title fight. I think that's kind of the road that Shawn wants to go down, and credit to him for that.
I guess obviously, Daniel being a pleasure to deal with. Obviously, it's probably for him. It's probably, where does he go next? Like obviously at 154, there's not really a lot of options there for an Irish title, and it's we've seen a lot of fights at 154 in the last couple of years. Like, would you want to work with Daniel again? Like, he's not promotionally with anybody. Obviously, Pascal obviously does all his work, and I'm guessing you would like to work with Daniel again.
Yeah, I'd love to work with Daniel. As I said, he's a dream to deal with. Absolutely no issues with him. No issues whatsoever. Really, really polite guy. Even for the promotional work, no problems whatsoever. Very thankful for me giving him the opportunity. I was very thankful for him accepting the opportunity. He's a really, really good guy. And I said it to them in the ring. This is your stage. It's the same as any boxer in Ireland. I keep saying it. Any boxer in Ireland, that's their stage. The stage is set for them. They can come and contact me. If you want to stay busy, there's your place. There is your place. It's not just JB fighter. Sure, look, Peter Carr has not fought anywhere else, only my shows. I've put him on, I think it's 3 shows now at this stage. David Kennedy made his debut tonight on our show. Shawn O'Neill, since her comeback, has had her fights on our shows. There's no issue to who fights on the shows. I just want to keep boxers busy, keep boxers building. And I said it to Daniel. This is ready for you. Stay busy now. We're not getting any younger. Let's stay busy. This is a platform for you. Whatever fight you need, you want, we can make them.
It's the way it should be for everybody, but yeah, isn't it? I don't want to keep going back over sort of the same ground with different promoters and everything else, but that's the way it should be. Like, you haven't sort of went off in one direction. It's like, no, this is just my fighters. You're happy to give every other fighter a chance, and you being a former fighter and stuff yourself, that people need these opportunities to progress their careers, and it's unfortunate that not everybody has that same mantle that you have and going, we'll give anybody a shot in the card.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and I think some lads are they've got a group of fighters and they need to get them busy, and and they're kind of hanging on to this. They're hanging on to the great hope. Oh, I hear there's a matchroom card coming, so we might get our lads on that. Or I hear there's a Conlan card coming that's on the telly, and we might get our lads on that. And then they lose their lads' opportunities because our cards are filled up. But at the end of the day, fighters need to stay busy. Don't get me wrong; the bigger platforms are great to be on. But if you get an opportunity to get your fighter out, get him out and get him out quick. Get the concrete position nailed down. And we're very fair. Very, very fair, I believe. Anyone I've dealt with over the last few months has said, it's a great deal, or we're very happy with that deal. That's very fair, Jay. Thanks very much. There hasn't been any arguments. We have one or two little disputes when it comes to if I'm putting a 50-50 together, this lad wants this or this lad wants that. But the 99% of people I've dealt with over the last 11 months have said, very fair. Your deals are very, very fair. A lot of people have said we're very cheap compared to other promotional outfits, and we had a comment the other day that Jesus Christ, you're a third of the price of some of the other promoters out there. So I don't know who they were talking about in that, but that's what I was said on Friday night, and they'd love to be on our shows again and blah blah blah. So I've done this not to make money. Do I want to make money? Of course I want to make money. I'm a retard. I don't. Obviously I want to make money. But like every business, you don't make money the first year. I'm not going to hand on heart tell you here and now, we have not made any money in year 1. We've lost money. Are we happy? Yes. Why? Because we're growing a business and we're growing a platform. And we have the likes of Senan Kelly, who signed for us last year and wanted big fights, wanted to try to get his hand on titles. At the end of year 1 with us under as his management, he's now got 2 titles. He's now 9-0. A young Matthew Tyndall, who was out of boxing, has come back into boxing. He's now had 7 pro fights, fought at the top of the sport in Ireland. He fought for his Irish title. He's now 6-1. My brother Glenn never thought he'd go pro. Because I'm doing this, he's gone pro. He's took a chance. He's now 5-0. John Boyd, 4-0. I can continue the list. We can go on about what we've done for the young lads and things like that. That's who it's all about. We need to try keep growing this, and everyone needs to keep trying to. This isn't just get in, make a book, and run. This is a long-term plan. We're going to Belfast next year. I know we said we're going to do it this year, but there was a couple of little stumbling blocks. One, that we were only, we were quite immature in the promotional game. We just jumped. I jumped in January and says, look, we'll do this, and I kind of took a back step. Then, I've just said, you know what, let's focus on a home first and get that ironed out. I personally feel that we're doing a great job in Dublin. What we've done, I think, from the reviews and the comments we get back after events and things like that. Are we perfect? No, but we get very positive comments back. Friday night has got really, really high reviews. A lot of people have been on over the last few days, and it was a brilliant night, fantastic night. I didn't get to see an awful lot of it. I'm actually been sitting downstairs watching it back on the telly. But are we confident going to Belfast now? Damn right, I'm confident going to Belfast. And I'll go to Belfast. And I'm not going to Belfast to ruffle feathers. I'm going to Belfast to help. I've signed 2 guys up there, and there's 1 or 2 we're still talking to. And Dennis Morrison, who has worked up there before, he is working with us on our first promotion, and please God for all our promotions. We've met Dennis, we've gone up, we've booked the venue, we've resealed it, we've the date. So Dennis has Gary that he needs to keep busy. I have John, I have Hijjah, McMahon just waiting on his license to come through. So there's 3 lads that we need to keep busy. I spoke to Pody McCrory. He has lads that he's managing, needs to keep them busy. So let's bring the 4 or 5 fights a year guaranteed to these Belfast lads in their hometown, so they can grow and become something. And then we have our, 10 or 11 Dublin lads or 12 Dublin lads working away down in Dublin, building. And we have our Belfast crew building up. And who knows where we'll be this time next year or the year after. That's the whole plan behind this.
I was just sort of smiling in the background, obviously knowing there were some Belfast cards. I've been so used to driving down to Dublin recently, I can nearly drive it with my eyes closed. The timer's just come up here. It's obviously say we've less than 10 minutes sort of left, obviously, just to run through the sort of rest of the card that you sort of mentioned there. John Boyd's now 4-0, Paul Noonan's 3-0, Glenn's 5-0, Oisin Treacy's 3-0. Where would you sort of, Paul obviously said afterwards, he would like to chase titles and stuff, next step up the 8 round and sort of push himself. The problem he probably has at that sort of weight class, it's finding opponents. I guess that's the job for you next, is to scratch your head and see if you can put a fight together.
Friday night after the event, we've agreed an opponent for Paul for his next fight. A few small little things just to iron out, which is more kind of just money, and that never seems to be a problem. We get that across the line every time. So Paul, as it stands on Friday night, speaking on Friday night to a boxer's manager, Paul Loonam will fight for a Celtic title on November 29th, over 8 rounds, against an Irish opponent. Fantastic. I just have to seal that up, and hopefully we'll have that done by the end of this week, and we will announce that this week.
So will that be the main event then on 29th of November with Paul and the Celtic title fight?
Possibly.
Yeah. He's obviously been used to it before.
Yeah, and I've a call tomorrow at lunchtime to please God confirm a Celtic title fight for Cain Lewis also.
Fantastic.
I'll know that tomorrow. That'll be tomorrow.
You're keeping the trend going here now. It's going to get to the stage where you're going to have 2 title fights on each card. I know you said in the press conference last week you want to get to the stage where you want to have 4 or 5 Irish title fights on the card, and that's, I guess, that's dreams and inspirations to come. But if you're keeping title fights on the card, you're giving people really good value for money.
Yeah, well, that's my job. I've got to keep these people wanting to come to the shows. And again, certain lads are ready for title fights, and some of the lads aren't yet. The likes of Shawn, the likes of Glenn, they're not ready for title fights yet. They're just not that ready yet. They hadn't got the amateur background that the likes of Paul Loonam has. The likes of Cain Lewis is already ahead of them in the pro game. So while these lads are now fighting for the Celtic titles, we'll keep building the other lads. And then when them lads are ready, or newer lads like Hijjah and that will be coming through, and they'll be ready to go. So yeah, that's my job. I have to keep the shows busy. Don't get me wrong, there will be shows where there's no title fights and it's just getting 10 lads a win because they need to get wins. I mean, we might throw 1 or 2 little domestics onto it or whatever, but that's part and parcel of the game. It's
good to see sort of when I sort of spoke to Oisin sort of afterwards, and I know even Glenn sort of did a bit as well. They're not falling into the same trend that probably some other ones can do it, going, they feel that pressure to sort of go. Like, Oisin's only 21. You obviously, your brother Glenn sort of having to mix a job and things like that. So, like, not everybody's going to move at this fast pace, but that's fine. Not everybody has to, when they're eligible for a title, they go for it. They can sort of walk for a bit before they start to run.
Yeah, it's about being like, there's no pressure on any of them, and there's no pressure on any of them. I've never told someone they should be going to a title fight. It's when you're ready, and when you're ready, it's your ability. It's not your age. It's not, whether you have a job. It's not whether I tell you. When you're ready is when your ability says you're ready. And Paul Loonam was probably ready on his debut to fight for a Celtic title. John Boyd is ready for a Celtic title. Cain Lewis, they're ready for Celtic titles. But then you have to look at Oisin is only a kid. He's only had 3 fights. He had that 6-month gap. So we need to get him back. We got him a good win the other night. Great stoppage. And that's what we need to do. It's Oisin will have another fight, maybe another fight, and then we'll have to start looking at that area for Oisin. But there's no rush. Depending on the opponents, again, it's the right opponent. And the right opponent is a 50-50. Is it not? The right opponent is a 70-30. The right opponent is the right opponent. It's someone that you can beat if you're at your best. You should beat if you're at your best. But if you don't turn up, you're going to get beaten, and that's not my job. My job is to get. You can bring a horse to water, Stevie. You can't make him drink it.
You definitely can't. Obviously, you had the debut in the card, obviously David Kennedy, and I was actually very impressed with David. Obviously, sometimes as you see with someone in their debut, they sort of get the red mist and they sort of just fly in. He was calm and composed and sort of took his time.
Very composed.
He sort of said he was a bit nervous at the start. It was like 4 days wrapped into one. Brought a good crowd as well, and very, very fast hands for a guy who was campaigning at light heavy.
Yeah, he brought about 80 people, I think it was, up to 80 or 90 people from Wexford up. And they had some roar, some crowd, and he came up, he said to me, holy shit, man, he said, that's an unbelievable venue. He said, it sounded like there was 5,000 people up in there. I thought he was very composed. I didn't get to see him. I got to watch. I just watched it there about an hour ago, and he was very composed, very relaxed. And I've reached out to his team and told him that he's more than welcome to be on November 29th as well if he wants to be. So I'll hopefully get confirmation on that in the next day or two, because the card is starting to fill up.
And obviously, finally, the returning Jason Harty, obviously 2.5 years out of the ring. I wasn't actually aware until I'd interviewed him afterwards. He had a bad car accident. So, firstly, obviously he's back to full health, but back in action, and probably couldn't have. I was going to say it couldn't have started off worse for him, but it was probably done him a favour getting dropped early in that round, because it made him wake up very, very quickly. He had the switch on because Badr Karami was there. Probably in the first round, he probably surprised himself because it wasn't, it was a sort of more like a flash sort of knockdown than anything. It wasn't a knockdown, yeah.
I just watched it there, and I was very impressed with Jason. I just watched it back today. Very, very impressed with him. His boxing skills, his amateur pedigree came through in that fight. He throwed some beautiful body shots, and his backhand, his straight backhand down the middle, worked all day long. So, no, great performance with Jason. Yeah, and another kid that was a pleasure to deal with. Another really, really easy person to deal with. No issues whatsoever with him. Really good kid.
That's where you want it. So next, obviously, show out. Like I sort of put a post up there. I'm not sure, obviously, because you've been watching the card back. Have you seen that's 6 shows completed in 11 months? JB Promotions have been a breath of fresh air in this game. Everything's all been done sort of by the book. I know you'd obviously had one fight card that sort of didn't end up materializing. Wasn't it right around July? I think?
April, yeah. April.
But obviously, that's the first sort of year ticked off. Back now, the 29th of November. Bigger, better things coming in 2025 with the JB Promotions.
Yeah, that's the plan again, Stevie. It's small steps. But 2025 has to get bigger. Everything has to get bigger. I think everyone that's been saying to me, Jesus, massive step up on Friday night. Yeah, that was your best card to date. The production, everything was brilliant. The venue, the people who run the venue have been texting me saying it was unbelievable, outrageous, blah blah blah. The crowd was great, da da da. So yeah, we're growing. Like, we do want to get bigger, and I would think in 2025 we will be going to the National Stadium, because I hope to build cards big enough that we can. I'm not going to do the stadium. I've repeatedly said it through the year. I'd rather sell out the warehouse and have it packed to the rafters than go to the stadium and have a half full, because my shows are about entertainment and about people getting value for their money, and you won't get that in a half empty stadium when it's echoey. Unless you're going to have 1,500 people in that stadium, don't do a show in the stadium because it's like a graveyard otherwise.
Totally agree. I've been to cards, obviously, where there hasn't been even half the people there, and you're sort of going, is the boxing still happening? You know, when the boxing's sort of on sometimes because you can hear the atmosphere. Like if I'm upstairs doing an interview and I'm missing some of the action, you can hear the crowd noise and things like that. Whereas in the National Stadium, sometimes you're sort of going, is the boxing still going on? You go in and you go on, and they're boxing away, and there's no atmosphere, there's no singing and chanting. It just sort of zones you into that fact that people scared nearly to sing and shout because they're scared of sort of roof tile coming down or something like that.
100%. No, and that's the thing. We are looking at obviously Belfast. I want to bring. So it's like basically going back in a year to November last year when we started in the warehouse and we built from there. But I want to do the same in Belfast. But obviously I've got the tips now of what we've done in the warehouse. So I spoke to the production team in the warehouse and they're willing to come to Belfast with me because, again, I'm not just going up to the Devenish to do a typical Devenish show where you just throw the ring in the middle of the floor and the chairs around and everyone says, we want to put proper lighting in and, you know, dress the place up a bit and have the place looking spectacular. And that's my job now between now and February to do that. So that will happen in February. We're hoping to be, again, we're just hoping to win the Belfast and, again, like what you just said, be a breath of fresh air up there and work with every manager up there and every promoter up there to try, again, just promote these lads and keep activity going up there.
Definitely. Well, look, I know this time we're just about to finish off here. Obviously, I want to thank you for joining me on your Sunday evening, and I'll no doubt catch up with you very, very soon.
Yeah, and thank you very, very much, Stephen, for all you've done and everything you do day in, day out for Irish boxing.